Hello, everybody, and welcome to Marquee 360's webinar series. We have some great content for you today. We're going to show you the top features of Microsoft Power Apps and how you can leverage this powerful solution without writing any code. All attendees are muted, so if you want to ask a question, please utilize the chat feature on the right-hand side. My name is Mike, and I'm a productivity specialist here at Marquee 360. I also have Jarrell Lugo, who's our solution specialist, and we'll be demonstrating the solutions. After the webinar, I'll be sending out a recording of the presentation, so no worries if you get pulled away. Marquee 360 is a Microsoft partner that helps companies with the digital transformation of business applications in as little time as possible. At Marquee 360, we aim to help businesses understand and navigate a digital transformation strategy to take advantage of disruption. We specialize in being close to your customers. Our services include SharePoint, Power Apps, Power BI, Microsoft Flow, and Microsoft Teams. This is a high-level view into Power Apps, but the possibilities are endless. Our experts work with our clients via one-on-one workshops where we can take their processes, whiteboard the solution, and build it together. I will now hand off the webinar to Jarrell Lugo. Jarrell?
Thank you, Mike. And today we'll be discussing what is Power Apps and what are the top 5 features of Power Apps. Power Apps is a service application as part of the Office 365 platform. Power Apps gives a user the power to take your manual business processes and transform them into a digital automated business process, which in essence is an app. So basically any kind of paperwork, any kind of worksheets, forms, diagrams that you have in your office and business workspace that you want to turn into an electronic process, you can utilize Power Apps to leverage that. They're pretty simple, straightforward apps. You don't need coding experience. You don't need to understand Java or Python. Pretty straightforward. With Power Apps, you can utilize mobile devices such as your cell phone, your tablet. You can utilize desktop as well as laptop. Power Apps is touch-friendly, so you can build apps using your keyboard on your mouse, or you can build apps from your cell phone. With Power Apps, you have the ability to connect to other apps within the Microsoft Office 365 suite. You have the access to touch other services, such as Twitter, Facebook, and you also have connectors as well, which you can connect to other services within the Microsoft suite: Azure, OneNote, OneDrive, and SharePoint. Today with Power Apps, you can build business apps as your organization needs them, and you can customize them, change them as your needs change. So a few of the benefits of Power Apps are building apps, of course, forms, in which you can embed those forms within a SharePoint list. You can embed them into a website. You can also create workflows. And again, all this without writing code. And again, Power Apps is connectable to other Microsoft services. Power Apps is user-friendly. The interface is very similar to PowerPoint, and I'll be demonstrating that a little later. Power Apps can be published instantly on websites and for mobile use. We'll also discuss Power Apps Interface, which includes the ribbon, the pane, left and right, and the multiple data sources that you can connect your app to. There are 3 types of Power Apps that you can create. First type would be a Canvas app. So basically a Canvas app, you'll start off with a blank canvas and you'll add all the functionality that you have identified that you need for your app. For instance, if you're developing a help desk ticket system, initially on that first screen you would have user login. Second screen, that user would have the option to create a new ticket or review tickets that are already existing for that user. The blank canvas gives you the option and the flexibility to add all the fields, all the buttons and icons that are necessary to accomplish your task. Canvas apps receive data from multiple sources that can be used to replace paper forms, access databases, and Excel spreadsheets. And also Canvas apps are driven by user experience. So the experience that you have, the knowledge, understanding that you have is going to drive what you and the flexibility and the functionality you want for that app. Next type of app is model-driven app. Model-driven app is a little more complicated. It has a little more functionality. It's expected to do more. It's component-focused. It's an approach to app development. It drives the data for your business processes. Model-driven apps can contain dashboards, workflows, and deep office integration. So I would definitely compare between these two. If you wanted to build a Canvas app, you would build a Canvas app for something like your employees who are coming into the building and departing. For instance, they can basically log into the app, tap a button, mark that they've arrived, they're on site, and then once they leave, they departed the facility. It's simple, straightforward. For a model-driven app, you would probably use this format to create something a little more complicated, a little more detailed. For instance, documenting training for your employees, like a learning management system. Employees have so much training that has to be done within a fiscal year. A model-driven app would be able to document the type of training, the date that they're due, if they've completed it. It would be tapped into multiple data sources, and it would utilize deep office integration. The third type of app is a common data service. So basically, the common data service securely stores and manages your data for your business applications. The data for common data service is usually utilizes entities. Types of data for this would be accounts, contracts, opportunities, products. For example, if you have accounts for customers or clients who haven't paid for a service or basically paying on a monthly basis for service, that kind of app and that kind of a report can be created within a common data service app. Contracts, contract management allows flexible tracking of when a contract's expiring, when a contract is renewed. So those are the three types of apps that can be created. I want to give an example of how important and why we should be using PowerApps. When I was in the Air Force, I'm a 12-year Air Force vet, we used a form called a CSRD, Computer Systems Requirement Document. This form was utilized basically to request new IT assets. Once a new asset was requested by an employee, you had to type up the form, put what you wanted, justify the reason why you wanted that asset, and then the form was printed out, and the form was then signed by you, and then it was hand taken and routed to your supervisor. The form was then, if it was signed off by your supervisor, taken and routed to your supervisor's boss, which would be the flight commander within the Air Force. So there was multiple layers to get this done and processed. And there was a lot of issues with that because some of these forms would just go missing between all the handoffs, between all the individuals and personnel. And so at times these forms would have to be reaccomplished, reprocessed, and that's eating up people's time. People definitely don't want to keep signing off on something that they've already signed off once. It's frustrating. With PowerApps, you avoid all that frustration and headache. You can create an app with a form, simple enough, have it saved to a SharePoint list to document and track all the computer or IT assets that have been requested. It'll tell you if it's approved, not approved, etc. It's electronic, it's saving device, so you don't have to worry about any paper trail. If we had PowerApps back in 2006, that process would have been a lot smoother for the Air Force. Okay, so deployment targets for PowerApps. PowerApps can be deployed on, as I mentioned earlier, any mobile device. You can download it from an iOS device, an Android device, and a Windows phone device. Basically, all you got to do is go into the market store for, let's say, the App Store for Apple or the Android market, and basically search for PowerApps, download it, and you have access to it. It can also be used on, like I mentioned earlier, tablets, laptops, and desktops. In the pictures here, you can see that PowerApps is being utilized on an iPhone, and they're showing 3 ways to create an app. You can start from a template, you can start from scratch, or you can start from a data source. And in the picture there, they're showing Excel, SharePoint, Google Drive, and Dropbox. And the individual who was creating this app here selected SharePoint. So PowerApps gives you the ability to connect to the systems you're already using and allows you to create data that you need for your business processes. You can build useful apps to support your organization or business without writing any code, and you can publish apps instantly for web and mobile use. And that's a big deal because I'll just harp on this a little more. Publishing an app is very important once you've completed changes to it, because once you publish it, the users who have access to it or who you're sharing the app with can actually see those changes and have those new levels of functionality. So PowerApps is part of the Microsoft Power Platform. Users can build modern business apps fast, and those business apps can empower your line of business. The Power Platform includes Power BI, PowerApps, and Microsoft Flow. And speaking of Microsoft Flow, next Wednesday we'll be having another webcast, and Microsoft Flow will be the subject of that webcast. So that's next Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. You can also utilize developers to extend the functions and process and components of your Power Apps that you're developing. You can use Azure, and as for developers go, leverage them to create more complex apps. Also create and connect to gateways as well. And utilizing developers is very important because that's when you're starting to get into a lot more deeper, more functionality, touching a lot more systems within a network. Marquee 360 has developers who can help you leverage your resources and develop these types of apps. Okay, so now we're going to go into PowerApps' top 5 features. So for this portion, I am going to go into PowerApps. So it's really easy to get into PowerApps, to access it. If you have an Office 365 account, you can just log into your account. As you can see, I'm logged in here. Here are all my apps. And you can see that PowerApps is right under Outlook. I'm going to click on PowerApps. So this is your home screen. Just educate you a little bit on PowerApps. Here you have the option to create a blank canvas, a model-driven app, and start from your data sources. I'm going to show you the apps that I've created lately, quite a few, and all this is saved to the cloud. You have the option to save it to an app to your desktop, but I would not recommend that because you're going to be accessing PowerApps through multiple devices. So the smart thing to do is to save it through the cloud. Okay. So I'm going to go back to home. And down here, you can see we have two options. We have tablet format and we have phone format. I'm going to click on phone and I'm going to click make this app. And this will take us to the interface for customizing our app. So you can see PowerApps is loading. Okay, so this is your interface. And basically, you have your left pan here, which shows your screens. You have your screen that you're directly working on here in the middle. So you can manipulate the data in here. And then on the right-hand side, your right pan, you have your properties, rules, and advanced features. Right now, we have the home tab selected. With that, we have the option to add a new screen, which a screen is basically the front-facing page for your app. And you can have multiple screens. Some of my apps, and I'll demonstrate one of my apps in a few minutes, but some of them can have, I think I have about 16 or 17 screens on one app. And that's just because of the complexity of the app itself, of how much data I'm showing and how much data is being changed, manipulated, forms, galleries, and we'll go into those. And as you can see, this is very similar to a Microsoft Word header. You have your theme, you have your fonts, bold, etc., all the way down. Next tab is insert. So this allows you to insert a new screen. So why don't we try that? I'm going to insert a scrollable screen. So now we have two screens, screen 1 and screen 2. So if I wanted to, I can make this my homepage screen. If I was creating an app for recording project updates. And then screen 2 would show what the updates are. And then here's the functionality items that came with the screen. And each screen has its own set of functionality items that are already incorporated into it. We have label. So right now I just clicked on a label popped up, and you can see that PowerApps is showing me guidelines on how to evenly display the label. And if I double click here on text, I can actually change the wording. We have buttons. And so this button here, you can change the functionality of this button to do what you need it to do. Save a document, refresh. You can change the name from button to refresh. You can change the color. We have text, controls, combo boxes, drop down, date pickers, galleries. Galleries are pretty big. So basically if you have a lot of information that you want to basically show off, you can select a gallery. size it up, and fit it within the screen. And then tie this to a data source. I'll demonstrate that momentarily. Forms, you can display a form, media, images, camera, charts, column chart, line chart, pie chart, many options here. It's very flexible. It's a lot of options to basically help you build what your business needs are and what your company's looking for. And finally, icons. There's a series of icons. And in the other tab, we have View, which is attached to your data sources, variables and collections, and actions. So basically, you can see that this is building an app without coding. It's very simple, very straightforward. That's our first feature. Our second feature is user-friendly interface. It's very user-friendly. It looks a lot like PowerPoint or other similar Microsoft products. In fact, here you can change the view. It's a thumbnail view, and you can see the screens that you want to basically work on and configure. So, like I demonstrated, it's a simple click and drag. Next feature is adding controls, which I just demonstrated. We have numerous controls here. I'm going to go into actually an app that I've been building here at Marquee 360. So this is our time and expense app. As you can see, I have this functionality already set up. So when I'm in here, it'll say my name, and it's actually set up to say whoever the user's name is. Welcome, Jarrell Lugo. I've added numerous controls to this screen. You can see that we have a control to go into project time. I can go back with this arrow control. It's very simple to basically create these controls. I'll demonstrate that now. I'm going to select an icon. I'm going to select left arrow, bring this down. And I'm going to give this the functionality on select to go back to the previous screen. There you go. So this control I just created is functional and it's operational. It's that simple, adding controls. The next feature is basically connecting data sources and services to your app. For this app, I have quite a few data sources. I'm going to select login screen. I'm going to select project expenses, and now you see data fields here on this gallery. I'm going to show you where those data sources are coming from. They're actually coming from a SharePoint list, which is named projects right here. So basically, I built this SharePoint list, integrated it with PowerApps, and now they're connected so the data shows up within the app. Once this is basically edited or changed, the data here will be changed. And you can see there's numerous sources here. I have 4 lists from SharePoint attached to this app, along with Office 365 users. The final feature I'm going to demonstrate is the preview environment. So if we wanted to preview this app, and I'm going to go back to the home screen, I have this little button up here. You can see it says preview app. You have the option of clicking on it or hitting F5. I'm going to click on it. Now it just blows up your app right there on preview mode. So basically it allows you to play with it to make sure all the functionality is operational. Click on project time, and you can see we're back into seeing where the projects are selected. And these projects are tied to my username because they're our projects, dummy data that I submitted to the SharePoint list. The buttons are functional. I can submit a new form to log my hours to basically speak to how many hours or what I've done to support this project. And you can refresh that as well. Sort works. If I wanted to search, if I had a multitude of projects, I just wanted to see everything associated with project 4, I just hit 4. So this is just a small taste of level of functionality that you can incorporate in PowerApps. It's a great application. It basically removes all your paperwork. It basically allows you to track your business processes through the internet, through the cloud, and basically it's a great tool to use from Microsoft. So thank you for your time. That's it.
All right, thank you, Jarrell. Everyone, thanks for attending. If there's any additional questions, go ahead and reach out to one of us. My direct email address is Mike, M-I-K-E, at marquee360.com, and that's M-A-R-Q-U-E 360.com. We can answer any questions via email, and if you would like a personalized demo of PowerApps, tailored to your specific situation, go ahead and shoot me an email. I'll set up a no obligations demonstration of the solution, and just go ahead and email me, and we can get that get that started. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks, everybody.